Hello everybody and welcome to the Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I am your host Dane Cobain. This is the weekly art show where we chat about the local arts news. We have a different guest each week. We head over to the Rhylight Zone for a short story and or some poetry. And we head over to the Ilk Shed later on in the show to catch up with Twangling Jack Ford for a weekly album review. As always, you can find us on Facebook. If you search for the Art Show on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. You can email me here at the studio on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. I particularly want to hear from people with MP3s they'd like to share, so poets, musicians, performers, and also anybody who has any local arts news or who thinks they would be a good fit for the show. You can also listen to us again. We're repeated on Monday nights on Wickham Sound, and we're on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts, as well as the Wickham Sound Listen Again tool. So this week we are going to be doing a highlights show, but before we get to the highlights, it's time for a little bit of poetry. So these are some of my poems. Enjoy. Don't panic. Xbox. Mate, I've written books and I've read them. I've read books that made the world burn and that made me fall in love with my own imagination. I've recorded albums and blagged so much I don't know who I am anymore. I've made people cry and I've made people laugh, and I'm delightfully weird, at least in my eyes. I've stood on the shoulders of giants and consumed my own body weight several times over. I kneeled young and I knelt on John, and now old Johnny's rotten. I read his words and sing his songs so Johnny's not forgotten. I've learned to distill the past and present and to try to change the future. I've fought the sword witch and lived to tell the tale. I've singed my own skin by burning the candle so brightly. Lived through 5,000 sunsets in the prisons and the flower pots, and Birmingham is next to go. Chemicals from factories poisoning canals, and I can't score a goal on FIFA, but I live my life without a walkthrough, so don't go sharing spoilers. I write poems that don't exist. Feederism. Hold on tight, because when you see it, bricks, your whole world inverted and everything you thought you knew will change forever and you can't go back and start again. It's like losing money or smashing just because you want to smash. There is no truth, just a popular perception that you happen to subscribe to. We are all energy condensed into shuffling atoms, and you can rearrange and reinvent yourself if you put your mind to it. And time is just a construct to stop us from going crazy. There are more dimensions than we know about. Our thoughts and emotions based entirely on incorrect assumptions, like working for the man when wired up to the matrix with the assumption that money buys freedom. We are free to live and die in solitude. We are free to sell our minds and bodies for wads of cotton and paper, but when death comes a knocking, it ain't gonna matter in the end. All this shit clogging your arteries, a deep unkindness like when you don't know how to feel because no one ever wiggled in your direction. This is for the acne-ridden teenagers convinced they'll never get laid, the gay kings and queens who stand out by standing out. You will find someone and they will destroy you. Glastonburyism. Look at the French and the Dutch and the Danish who ride their bicycles in the faces of bomb squads. Terror kids tearing up capital cities just to watch the world burn. The curses of men who never lived and never died. The gods visible only in the actions of men who fight deluded holy wars while we laugh in the face of hate and celebrate the simple fact of life. Love and prosperity guaranteed to all is my kind of society. Girls talk and boys talk. And girls can drive buses and work on construction sites, and boys can wear pink and shave their legs, chest and armpits. And girls can kiss girls and boys can kiss boys, and the gays are not a problem. It's the straight folk you want to worry about. It's like every form of creativity is inspired by the people you love, even if you only love yourself. Take this philosophy and run with it. Take up your pens and paintbrushes and stick them where the sun don't rhyme, because all we are is all we are, and you could do anything if you got off your ass and tried it. Anonymous is white mask of freedom. Regulators of the internet, you have been warned. We will not bow down to pressure or stand idly by while you bully our ISPs into submission, stunting the organic growth of the greatest repository of knowledge the world has ever seen. Tim Berners-Lee has every right to be angry. His great invention destroyed by government entities like Alan Turing's poisoned apple, depriving our anarchic world of the greatest minds of a generation. Mohandas Gandhi marching to war armed with DDoS attacks and security breaches, loopholes in the code which lie in wait on darknet servers, proxied and clouded with secrecy, where guns and drugs change hands on the open market. This is not our problem. We are righteous folk who live in peace and stylize the new world order with motion graphics and virtual reality. We write our wills on word processors, and 10 Downing Street claims to have the right to see them, but this is not 1984 and I am alive to show for it. So tell that to the kings and queens on their ivory thrones in ruined palaces. Information is the currency of love. Bits and bobs and petabytes whizzing through underwater pipes, panhandling along as they transmit, wirelessly encircling the badlands which fight to halt its progress. the greatest invention since the Gutenberg press, and they want to tear it apart and put it back together again. You feel the ache in your heart and mind when risky acronyms threaten to derail your whole career path. You feel unsafe in the knowledge of men with false agendas who sign edicts and ruin buildings to decide the world's future, and I don't trust them. Give me pens and paper and distilled in invisible ink, sacred texts that don't shake the world but which reveal your inner secrets, stirrings for girls at open mic nights, and the way your friends touch your arm and look different every day and still beautiful. Anonymous's white mask of freedom is a flag for the faithful to rally around. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, and the auditors are neither. They are the living conscience of the net which protects its best interests, sometimes breaking the law in the process. Our leaders do not lead us into greatness. They cripple our lines of communication and riddle us with misinformation, and I trust our hive mind more than anyone, man. You see, first there was IRC, which allowed specialist groups to form around a subject of their choice. Then came MSN, Windows Live, BBM, and the rise of Bebo and MySpace. So far, so good. Then the web hit its terrible teens, and we signed up en masse to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, and WhatsApp. And now our fragmented entities are just stressful lives lived out in public. Mass hallucinations and delirium pulling us together and pushing us apart. Up with the hooligans. We are the Legion with the blood red pens and the jet black cats, spider tats across our backs, and Mr. Cage will see you now. We are writers united against the light, beggars, rogues and thieves who deceive routinely, evil beings you need to release to wander the streets of the world with their wings unfurled. We are the witches and warlocks, the creatures of sin and depravity, born not unto gravity but forsaken. We are the mad and the stark, the clay in the dark and the cage in the park. We've got our eyes on the prize, and it's time to decide whether to ride this train or to run away again. Playing the guitar with no hands. Music is the fuel that sets our hearts alight in the darkness of night when the light has died and all our friends have gone to bed and we're kept awake by the voices in our heads. It's deafening, the shredded strings and the way they sing about things that mean something to them and to you and to me, and I have become a chuckle brother. You can lift your spirits with meaningful lyrics or come to a stop with generic pop. The choice is pathetically yours. Don't fret, never ever fret. Just play your chords to loud applause. The thoughts you stored to explore before the hungry who only came to watch you die on stage again. Vultures and magpies, the lot of them. They forget that this is the end and not the beginning. Alright, so that was some poetry by myself, Dane Cobain. We're going to listen to some music now, and this is C'est Tragique by Robert Honor.
He sank half the bottle for breakfast, neglecting his lukewarm cup of tea. Excused himself from the office, blaming issues with his sickly family. He said it ain't easy being me. He said it ain't easy being me. She awoke as the sun it was setting, head pounding with familiarity. The stranger's warmth she found fleeting, her job it was aching terribly. She said it ain't easy being me. She said it ain't easy being me. They passed the bag between them, making the best use of their keys. Before the polythene was empty. They both asked for a promise to keep. Please make it easy. Can you make it easier for me? Please make it easy. Can you make it easier for me? 'Cause I can't take no more. My eyes are red and raw, but I can see we're in too deep. C'est tragique. One day I won't suffer. One day I'll be free. I hate to act the victim, but I play the role so gloriously. 'Cause it ain't easy, it ain't easy being me. It ain't easy, it ain't easy being me.
That was Reflections by Frank Birtwistle, and before that we had C'est Tragique by Robert Honor. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and it's a highlight show this week, so we're going to go straight over to a highlight of our chat with Ash and Lisa from Physiology Productions. And you're going to be using some music like from local bands and musicians, right? Can you tell us a bit about those and what it's been like to, I suppose, to work with them and to sort of check out the local music scene?
Yeah, so we're using the local band Psychopomp. for a lot of their music through the series. We also have Eliza, who is actually one of our cast members' daughters. That she doesn't actually live in the local area, but she's a fabulous singer, and we want to get her songs out there as well. We've got a guy that I know from Fulham, Joe James. We have his music also a new musician who's a brilliant guitar player, Johnny Strings. Trying to think who else, Ash.
Yeah, there's been quite a few. We'll have to look back at that when we're in editing and stuff like that.
Yeah. For the local area, it's Psychopomp, and you can also find them on Facebook, and they are back to doing gigs now as well.
Awesome. And I mean, a few things that I wanted to cover as well, I guess, like about, as you say, you guys sort of got together sort of during the pandemic, and obviously the pandemic has had a big effect on people's mental health in general. And I wondered, like, I guess, what are your observations on that? Like, how has the pandemic affected mental health? Has it made it, more prevalent? Has it affected access to services? How has it changed things for people?
Oof, yeah, it's had a massive impact on a lot of people. Being stuck inside, seeing the same four walls all day, every day, it's a drag anyway. But when you have mental health as well, on top of that, you're not getting the time out you need to go on daily walks, and that helps a lot. And having lockdown, staying in, you can't do that. So yeah, I think it's affected a lot of people around the world, and hopefully it stays away now, because we need a better sort of path going forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it can be all ages as well, from young people to old people. A lot of old people, the only people they see is on a bus journey, or go for a pint down the pub with their paper. They wasn't able to do that, and of course with lockdown, if their families live miles away as well, they've just got the telephone. It's been hard on so many people for different reasons, but it all all does affect one thing, which is your mental health.
That was Ash and Lisa from Physiology Productions. Now we're going to head over to part of our chat with Callie Trench, who is the author of 105 Artist Hands. Cool. I mean, while I was there, so I was chatting to Dan Wilson from Decreate, who's one of the artists who's in the book. And so while we were at the book launch for it, we were talking about the way that hands have kind of affected language as well. So because we looked it up while we were there, the word handsome was originally related to hands, because it was to do with, originally something that was handsome was something that was convenient, and then it became something that was fit for purpose, and then it became like fit for the purpose of marriage. And then we have other expressions like, handy, and lots of sayings and stuff. What do you think about the way that hands have affected language?
Well, I mean, this is something that some of the writers or some of the artists, when they're writing particularly poetry in the book, picked up on a lot. I mean, a lot of play on the puns and the idioms associated with hands. And I think it reflects the sheer importance of hands to us as human beings. I mean, without our hands, and our opposable thumbs and the flexibility of our hands, we would never have, I think, developed the kind of skills we have, our use of tools, our creation of art, among other things. And so hands are just terrifically important to us.
Yeah. And I mean, that, as you're saying, like the importance of hands, there was in one of the sort of essays that one of the artists provided, they asked the question of, whether they'd rather lose their hands or lose their sight. And obviously both of those, as an artist, those are your two tools of the trade, really. And that got me thinking about my own answer to that. But I wondered, do you have an answer to that if you had to pick one that you had to lose?
Yeah, that's a piece of writing, beautiful piece of writing by an artist called Daniel Lehan. And I mean, it is a total conundrum. I mean, I hope that I will never have to lose either. And I also hope that if I do lose either, then I will kind of learn to cope. But I can't answer the question as to which I would kind of prefer. It's just two terrible things.
All right, so that was Callie Trench. And here we have the band Psychopomp. Cool. And how would you describe your sound?
Our sound, our sound is, it's kind of like cowboys on motorbikes riding through a tunnel in the desert.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, just
Yeah, it's generally loud, but with some nice quiet bits and interesting melodies. It's very difficult to put. Everyone says it's very difficult to put a name to the genre.
It's kind of like the plan at the start kind of was to not be able to pigeonhole it.
Yeah.
And like the thing we can, like, as musicians, we can move in any direction we want, because we're lucky we've got Reg, who's got such a good strong voice, and he pulls songs together. So I'll
let you carry on here.
Yeah. We just go on a tangent and it just becomes Psychopomp, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever style we're doing, then we try and make it our own. Rather than, so although it's different styles, they sound like us.
Yeah. And
cool. That's really vague. but
you can't pigeonhole it, which is the aim of it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that was a highlight from our chat with the band Psychopomp, and now we have a little bit of our chat with Clive Woodward. So over to Clive.
I was going to ask you then, so you're going to be doing the show at Northern Farm, right? What was behind that as the choice of venue?
Well, I've performed there before, so that was one of the main reasons, and I really enjoyed performing there. Those of you who don't know Northern Farm, it's they do all sorts of things there. Actually, they put on films. There's comedy there. They put on theatre shows and a lot of music. So it seemed like a very good venue. It also goes back. There's an old farm building, so it's a lovely place for people to go. It's got a nice bar. They serve food, very welcoming. And also, I did an online event, sort of free of charge for them a couple of years ago. When everything was shut down, to help try and raise funds, because obviously they've been, like all venues, hitting a hard time with COVID. So it's great to go back there, really.
Yeah. And I was going to ask about that actually in general. I mean, well, specifically the question I'd sort of prepared was, how important do you think art centres are in a sort of in a post-COVID world?
I think it's really important. I think a lot of people are really longing to go out and see live performance again. They're also local to the community. I live in Maidenhead, which is, I suppose, one of the other reasons it's handy for me to actually perform there. And one has obviously friends and things nearby, which always helps in terms of getting numbers. But yes, I think it's really important. And a lot of these venues do some great stuff and very varied stuff. They also, get involved with children and things like that in the arts. A lot of teaching goes on there for various things or classes. So it's it serves a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, cool. I like that. And so you mentioned that one of the things you'll be doing as part of the event is sort of sharing memories. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Maybe select one or two of the memories that you'll be sharing.
Yeah, one of the ones I particularly like is relates to the Peggy Lee song "Fever," which Raz sing, which is a great song anyway. But this brings back. I was so I love my father, who's no longer alive now, but he used to work on a Saturday morning, and invariably would he was mad about, but he always used to read a tremendous amount, and used to like music, and he used to go to the theatre a lot and take his family to the theatre as well. But on a Saturday lunchtime, very often he would come home with a record and would put it on while we all had lunch and stuff, or just after lunch. And one of his big favourites was Peggy Lee as a performer at that time, and one of his favourite songs was Fever. So I'll tell you a little story about that, which relates back to family, which is also part of the show. And then Raz play Fever, which is a great song, and hopefully gets people, really in the mood for having a good time.
That was Clive Woodward. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and it's time for a little bit more music. This is My Girl by Straight 8.
I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. I guess you say, what can make me feel this way, my girl? I'm talking about my girl. I've got so much honey, the bees in the bee. I've got a sweeter song that I can sing than the birds in the tree. Well, I guess you say, what can make me feel this way, my girl? I'm talking about my girl. Ooh. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Ooh. Yeah, yeah. I don't need no money for no thing. I got all the riches, baby. One man can play. Well, I guess you say, what can make me feel this way, my girl? I'm talking about my girl, my girl. I'm talking about my girl, my girl. I'm talking about my girl. My girl, she's my girl, my girl, my girl, she's my girl, my girl, my girl, she's my girl, my girl, my girl, she's my girl.
That was My Girl by Straight 8. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. And we've got a bit of a highlight show going on today, so we're going to go over to part of our chat with Joe Tilston.
And when you play shows, do you prefer playing originals? Do you play covers? And how do you decide, what to play when?
It's definitely never really much of a covers journey for me. I kind of I've never been into like sitting down and learning other people's stuff. I've kind of regularly, I always sit down and if I'm playing my guitar, it's normally writing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like sit down and practice my old stuff nearly as much as I should. Like my own material kind of gets practiced on stage more than anything. So yeah, like I play to write, but then saying that, I've been so busy recently, I hardly even do that. But yeah, the covers isn't really something that sits with me very well, and that's been on in all of my creative projects, like Random Hand Punk thing. That was, you know, very much our own thing. And it's the same with the solo stuff.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, is that maybe a challenge when, like, you're looking for gigs and stuff? Do you think people tend to, I suppose it depends upon the venue and the vibe, because sometimes you can just have a sort of quiet little pub that just wants some songs that everybody knows, and then other times it is very much more geared towards original music.
Yeah, I have to be quite selective on when I get asked to do stuff. Like, people have the best will in the world, and they might hear your songs and go, "Oh, that's brilliant, you should come and play my pub or play my venue and stuff." And I'm like, "Is it a pub?" I don't want to play that. like, not that I don't want to, but I've done it so many times. I've said, you're enthusiastic, you must like know what this is about, and then I'll do it, and I end up putting myself in a position that I don't really enjoy, because people aren't enjoying it, or people aren't listening to it, or they're just talking, and then it just ends up becoming, I've just created some background noise for a little bit of, you know, money for travel. It's not really worth it. So no, I'm quite selective nowadays, and only do gigs that I know that people want to listen to original music.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose that's more true now because, you know, with sort of fatherhood, like, time is at a premium, right?
Certainly is. Yeah. And then some. Yeah.
So how do you balance that with, you know, with your creative side of things, or are you still working on it?
Oh, definitely working on it. I feel like I've done myself a bit of an injustice recently, because I put my album out a month ago. So the album that I put out in November, I finished making it 3 years ago, and it was never meant. I was never meant to sit on it for that long. I planned to spend a year prepping things and getting things ready. So I wanted to make the videos. I wanted to get a band in shape to go and perform it. And I largely did that. I had a band together, and we were out gigging, getting into a good shape with it, which was really good. And then just so happened, basically, me and all my best mates all got married the same summer. So it kind of became this summer where I couldn't really take any big gigs. My distraction was on my wedding, and the 2 months before it, I was best man at two of the weddings. So I suddenly became so busy. I thought, okay, well, you know, this can wait for a little while longer. The plan was, you know, the beginning of 2020, and then the end of the world hit, you know. So I cancelled making the videos, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so it did, you know, it just put the, you know, scuppered all the plans really. And then when it came to coming out the other end of things, I thought, well, this album has to come out, or it's just going to be stupid. You know, enough people knew that it was there, and I didn't want it to become irrelevant. And it was also stopping me from being creative. I wasn't writing anymore. I wasn't playing. You know, the pandemic was having that impact on me anyway. I wasn't feeling very creative. So I wanted to get it out. And I knew if I used the excuse of my daughter coming, and she did come in August. I knew if I let that stop me from releasing the album, it would be another year. There's never going, and I just realized there's never going to be a good time or an easy time to do this ever again. So I just need to get it out, and that was the plan. And it went very, very well at the first. Got the videos out, got the album out. I also run my own business, and I think the thing with that in the mix, the business, a few things have gone wrong there. It's been a really difficult time for the last 6 or 7 weeks, and I've had the first month of my album out, and I haven't been able to do any of the things I wanted to do. You know, all of the, you know, beyond the initial week and a half of release, I've not been able to do any of the stuff that I wanted to. I haven't made any of the promotional videos. I haven't done any online gigs, just because I've been literally work, spend some time with my daughter. And I don't regret the time with my daughter, but I'm struggling with the fact that work is stealing all this creative time away from me. You know, I don't know how often I get to do this again. So
All right, that was part of our chat with Joe Tilston, and now we're going to have part of our little chat with Janet Swinney, the author of The House with Two Letterboxes.
And what is it about short stories that attracted you to them as a writer? Was it again that you know, that brevity and the conciseness of them?
No, I don't have a choice in the matter, really. Like, for me, writing is about insights. So, you know, I get that aha moment when the light bulb goes on, and that becomes a short story. It doesn't become a novel for some reason. I don't know. I'd maybe need a drug or something to make me change my approach, but that's the way it happens for me.
Cool. Well, I mean, I suppose as well, it's all about, you know, the story is as long as it needs to be to get its point across. So, you know, sometimes you might need a few hundred words. Sometimes I guess you do need a novel.
That's true. But I've also noticed about my own writing that as time has gone on, I tend to write in scenes.
Yeah.
So it's quite, my approach, I think, is quite cinematic. And I've actually been toying with the notion of going down the screenplay route rather than the novel route in the future. Yeah.
Cool. That's a great idea. And so, again, on the subject of short stories, who are some of your favourite short story writers?
Okay, well, I've got a whole queue of them lined up here for you, but they're all contemporary writers. Well, the first one I'm going to mention to you is Mona Dash in her new book, Let Us Look Elsewhere. And she's got a story there about an Asian woman. She's of Asian origin herself, but this is an Asian woman living in the UK who feels that she doesn't fit in because of her Indian accent. So she goes to, you know, some alternative therapist who can modify the voice box, and you can choose what kind of accent you would like to have. So she chooses, you know, a kind of slightly upmarket English accent. And then, of course, it has terrible consequences because the way you speak is part of your personal identity. And her family and those around her can't cope with the new voice that she's got. But alas and alack, she's not able to, she's left it too late to go back and get it changed. So it's a kind of powerful metaphor about identity and belonging, craving to be part of a culture and not feeling that you're an insider. And the other writers that I want to refer to have a similar sort of perspective. So one is Elaine Chu, and she wrote a book called The Heartsick Diaspora, which was published about a year ago. Reshma Ria, who's got a new book out called Mrs. Pinto Drives to Happiness, and Jenny Batt, Each of Us Killers. So Elaine and Jenny are not based in the UK, but Reshma is. But the three of them have multiple perspectives on different societies. They're comfortable in living in more than one place. And so they bring to their short story writing a whole wealth of life experience. I identify with this because I've been part of a biracial family for a number of decades. So they're familiar, they write about what it's like to live on the fault lines between different societies and always, being aware of what it means to be an outsider while knowing a society very well yourself. So I find that very interesting and very refreshing, given the rest of the literary market that we're exposed to. And it's notable that all of these short story collections are published by small independent publishers.
Okay, that was Janet Swinney, the author of The House with Two Letterboxes, and this is a little highlight of our chat with the band Demas.
So obviously you guys recently released your first single as well, and I think I saw, so it's hit, because you got the video for it as well, and that hit 1,000 views in like a couple of days or whatever as well.
Yes.
What have you found like the response to have been like from people for that single?
It's such a surreal feeling to see. I mean, Natalie's a solo artist as well, so it's probably the same for her. But just seeing something you've created is quite a vulnerable thing, releasing it to the world now as everything is on the internet. And we were sort of in two minds what to expect, because obviously we're quite proud of what we've made and we think it's pretty cool. But it's quite humbling putting yourself out there, and we were just overwhelmed by the response, really. You
and seeing all like
go
sorry. I was like seeing all like friends and family, like with the support that we've had through this process has been absolutely amazing. Like cannot like literally thank them enough as well. And the fact that we've had such good response for it as well, it's just more of like a dream. It's like surreal.
Yeah, it's super flattering and humbling, and yeah, we just feel really grateful. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it sort of shows that you're doing something right in a way as well. I mean, is it kind of giving you like some momentum to, go ahead and like release an EP or release another single and stuff?
Yeah. So we recently recorded with legendary producer Justin Hill, and we recorded 2 songs, and we were going to stagger the 2, but getting the mixes back for Wait and Wonder and the other track, we were like, let's do 2 more, because we've got like 4 or 5 songs in our set. We're like, let's just go for it. And getting those mixes back as well, we're so chuffed with the quality. So we're just going to stagger releases throughout next year until we have enough for like an album or an EP or something. So yeah, it has spurred us on to, and sort of encouraged us and put our minds at ease about releasing more and how they're going to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because, as you say, I guess like you and your brother have been sort of playing together for a while, and sort of then there was the lockdown and sort of absolutely nothing happening, and you've sort of emerged from it like guns blazing in a bit as well, because you've been playing quite a few shows recently, because you played in London somewhere, didn't you? And you played the Phoenix as well, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we played Maz's album launch in September, and then we played the Beehive in Bow, I don't know what month that was, November? It was November, and then we played the Phoenix the following week. Yeah, 12th and 19th, yeah. Cool. And are you like currently looking at booking in sort of more shows in the new year? So we started messaging venues and promoters earlier on, but without a release or a video, it was quite hard to market ourselves. So now we've had this launch, and the responses and the stream count and the view count, we feel like we've got a bit more weight to promote ourselves. So yeah, that'll be the push for the new year. Yeah. Well, that shows that there's an interest in what you're doing as well, and like the promoters are going to just want to know that you're going to be able to bring people along. And again, if you can say, well, when we released our video, we got this many hits, and people asking us when we're going to be gigging and things like that. So yeah, it should definitely help. Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah.
All right, that was a highlight of our chat with Demas. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and this is Off Party with All To You.
Give me more of that stuff.
trail of tears falling down like rain. The exquisite itch that must be scratched in a festival of pain. It could be so easy, it need not be hard. Be my dominatrix, I'll be your marquis de Sade. And baby, 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 can't you feel the way I'm feeling? The tender sting of love's first bite. Oh baby, 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 can't you feel the wounds are healing? In the heat of the night, in the heat of the night. Like a tattooed needle and a piercing gun, 12 weapons in a boxing ring, all rolled into one. Squeeze my pearly chassis, floor me with your heels, get your motor running, let me lick your wheels. 'Cause baby, 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 can't you feel the way I'm feeling? The tender sting of love's first bite. Oh baby, 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 can't you feel the wounds are healing? In the heat of the night, in the heat of the night.
That was Burley Chassis by The Ilk, and before that we had All To You by Off Party. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and we're going to head over to The Ilk Shed now to catch up with Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review.
Daydream Nation, Sonic Youth. Sometimes you have sung some catchy tunes to precisely picked arpeggios and variations on 4-to-the-bar rhythms, and sometimes pure noise is the only way to take it further. There is only so much you can do with guitars. There are only ever going to be a finite amount of riffs that make sense. There are only so many ways you can subvert the medium of the 3-chord trick to maintain any pretense of novelty. Everyone who has ever plugged a guitar into an amp knows the thrill of sliding the pick down the strings before a final feedback-infused elongated kerrang. Sonic Youth realise you don't have to wait till the end of the song to do this. Sonic Youth use a minimum of chord changes and drive everything along with a straightforward bass and drum, but it is the way the two guitars play against each other that distinguishes it. Taking the Velvet Underground and Nico album and taking the sound to places that Lou Reed abandoned, strangely tuned guitars, feedback and primitive tom-tom beats, and a nod to the dual guitar experimentation of Captain Beefheart's Magic Band in their Trout Mask replica era. People wonder why artists make experimental noisy records that will never sell in any numbers. The reason might be that the band will hit on a way of making those experiments beautiful, and the audience may develop ears to hear that beauty. Daydream Nation is a listenable album with snatches of catchy tunes, irresistible rhythms, and Teenage Riot, a song like every other punk, post-punk or alt rock song, and yet somehow different and indefinably better. I have in the past taken Daydream Nation out of the library, but with Amazon Prime Music I can listen to it, paying no extra cost on top of what I pay for delivery and Prime Video. The extended version of the album includes their version of the Beatles' Within You Without You, an experimental version of an experimental song that I think works perfectly, and their version of Captain Beefheart's song Electricity. Daydream Nation, Sonic Youth.
Big thank you to Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review. Thank you to everybody who I shared highlights of the interviews from. Thank you to everyone whose music I played as well. As always, you've been listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. You can email me here at the studio by dropping an email to dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. I particularly want to hear from poets and musicians, people with MP3s they'd like to share, as well as anybody who thinks they might make a good guest. You can also find us on Facebook if you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound, and we're repeated on Monday nights on Wickham Sound. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen Again, and we're on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. So I'm going to leave you with one last tune. This is Lewis Branch with To the River. I will see you next week.
Lately I've been feeling kinda low about love. Lately I've been feeling like it's not enough. What happened to the buzz when we used to touch? Where did the magic go that we call love? So take me back to the river, take me back to your love. Take me back to the river, take me back to your heart. Let your love wash over me, it's so clear to see. Take me back to the river, take me back to your heart. Oh, I don't wanna let go of everything we've got. Oh, I don't wanna be the one to say goodbye. But what happened to the buzz when we used to touch? Where did the magic go that we call love? So take me back to the river, take me back to your love. Take me back to the river, take me back to your heart. Let your love wash over me, it's so clear to see. Take me back to the river, take me back to your heart. Take me back and pull me closer. Take me back and be my lover. Take me back and pull me closer. Take me back and be my lover. Take me back and pull me closer. Take me back and be my lover. Take me back and pull me closer, closer. So take me back to the river. Take me back to your love. Take me back to the river. Over me, it's so clear to see. Take me back to the river.